Are you a business owner or an entrepreneur thinking about moving to or coming to Marbella or the Costa del Sol, but you're not too sure about the whole system here, about the networking, about the fellow entrepreneurs and business owners and how to engage with them? Well, you're in the right place. I'm Chris Cassidy. This is the New Sun Network, and I am joined today by Christian Rasmusson, and he is the CEO of the Pool Marbella. If you don't know what the Pool Marbella is, you will soon find out. Just for our audience here who don't know about you, don't know about the pool, it would be great to tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and what brought you here, and talk about why you started the Pool Marbella.
Okay, we got 3 hours to talk about this.
You need to keep it quite short.
Well, I'm originally Swedish. I was born in Sweden. We moved to New Zealand when I was about 2. And then I came to Spain, to this area, when I turned 7 or 8. Wow. So I'm more Spanish than anything else. Obviously, I worked abroad quite a little bit, worked in the States on cruise ships. I worked in London for some years, in Barcelona, etc. But this is what I would consider home. So my background, I studied hotel management in a school here in Marbella. It's a Swiss hotel management school in Marbella. So that's my background, hospitality, hotels, etc. Did my internships in the States, in London, etc. Then I came here and I worked for a multinational company that worked with basically business centers, renting out offices, etc. Then I moved to work in a family office, and then we were looking at bigger spaces that I was renting out to, mainly as offices again, to bigger corporations. And then, I was approached by 5 entrepreneurs who are now living in Marbella. 4 of them Swedish. One is a French gentleman, but has been living in the Marbella for a very long time. And they had this vision. And the first phone call I had from Martin in this case was like, hey, Christian, we're going to set up a tech hub in Marbella.
Right.
So my first impression, as I said, I've been here most of my life. Marbella has always had this, I wouldn't call it stigma, but this name about being a perfect place to come when you're looking to retire or you're looking for luxury hotels, etc. So that's why Tech Hub and this was like, don't really see how this is going to work. But I was curious. So I came, I met these entrepreneurs, and the background, amazing. I mean, one of them is actually a unicorn, found their company, and the other are like really successful entrepreneurs. And I was like, okay, so these are the kind of people that live in Marbella now? Then actually maybe that idea is not as crazy as I thought. That was approximately, we're talking, about 4 years ago.
Right, okay.
So what did we do? They had already started looking into having a physical space to launch this idea of creating this community. And they had already been approaching El Corte Inglés, the building that we're in right now in the center of Marbella. But then we also need to see, okay, is this concept, is it going to work? So we started launching what we call the Marbella Tech Meetups. So we started doing that at the university, at the Marbella International University Center, right up the road. We did 3 or 4 events there. We would invite, quite relevant people from the tech industry. So we got Andreas Mihalovic, who was an angel investor. Well, he is an angel investor in 182 companies himself. Wow. Juan Urdiales, who is the co-founder of Job and Talent, which is the last Spanish unicorn. And we had Iñaki Arrola from K-Fund, which is the investment wing of Telefónica Movistar. So, that was the first event that we did. And to bring that kind of panel to Marbella, and it's just us doing it, right? It's like, people we know, we brought them in, we did it. So for each one of these events that we just launched with one of these apps, like the Meetup apps, 100 people would show up, 120, 90. Then we started doing them in other locations. So we said, okay, check, right? We got the community for it. There is an interest in this concept. Physical location, we started negotiating with the Corte Inglés, which, to be honest, took a while. But so now we got the community, we got the concept that works, the values, and now we got the physical space. So we opened about a year ago. We opened in May 2023, so that's more than a year ago. And it's been quite amazing, to be honest. Gives me an extra degree of pride, knowing that we've been able to create this in Marbella. So today we're 370 members. We've got 39 different nationalities already. of members working here on a daily basis. And from the concept that we work, obviously we got kind of a co-working operation where you got private offices,
Yep.
and you've got people who work in the common areas and so forth. And then people who come to rent the meeting rooms. But especially people come here because they see certain value in the community that we've managed to create.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, right? Because a lot of people work from home, or they might, or they might go into an office. But because lots of people are working from home, it's a lonely place, right? And I think to be able to work with fellow professionals who are maybe doing completely different things, but you've got that understanding. And I can imagine here you can probably draw on different talents for different things you need to do, and you can all complement each other.
I mean, exactly. I mean, especially you know this probably better than anyone. I mean, people sometimes got this vision, okay, I'm going to move to the Costa del Sol, Marbella, Fuengirola, or wherever. But the vision they have is like be sitting in the sun, maybe playing golf. But then after a while, especially with the new trend of people coming now to the Costa del Sol, we're not looking at people 60 plus. No, we're people that now they bring their families. So the questions are, I mean, you probably experienced that as well. When I was working in this co-working operator before, the questions that I was getting is, okay, what restaurants are cool? Where can I play golf, etc. Now the questions I'm getting here is like, what schools do you recommend?
Yeah,
it's a different area and a different background. So and I love that because it kind of puts Marbella, in this case, to the test a little bit. Because you've catered for these groups before, you've got that covered, but all of a sudden you've got these new people coming in that require a different kind of services. And that's where we actually were born.
Yeah.
We got this new profile of person who's coming to the Costa del Sol, so we need to adapt. So that's where the pool was born, for instance. But answering your question, a lot of people have this vision, I'm going to come to the Costa del Sol, and then after 3 months, they're sitting there and like, okay, I've got a beautiful office in my house, and my business is in Germany, in the UK, in Sweden, or wherever. But I used to have like a really interesting network. I'll go out and have lunch with certain people. I'll be able to interact with people, get ideas, be inspired. So I do have quite a lot of people that actually come here just because of that.
Just because of that.
Exactly.
The social and networking aspect.
Exactly. Just the conversations you have while you're having a coffee sometimes really helps your day. It's like, okay, I don't know, let's for an example, I'm a programmer. And all of a sudden I go and have a coffee. Oh, and I'm talking to another programmer.
Yeah.
Oh, and all of a sudden you got what you had in where you came from before.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, sometimes me personally, I might go for a coffee just to get out, right? I've got coffee in the house, but just to get out.
Exactly.
But I think having it here, I mean, and right now, we're speaking in the pool, Marbella.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fantastic area, easy parking, fantastic facilities for coffee. The coffee I had was amazing.
Okay, glad to hear.
But
coffee's, maybe we'll talk about this or not, but coffee has a really special place in my life. I'm a coffee roaster as well. So,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, coffee is important for me.
Many talents. But just for me, just to come here and see the mix of people, I can see the benefit of it. Also for your mindset and just for your headspace, just to get out and talk to people. Because if I go to a cafe, then I can't really talk to people about things, and they won't really want to maybe talk to me about business. But if you're in a place of business, then they're going to want to talk about it.
And especially here at the pool, I think we've got two aspects that kind of facilitate that. One of them is the fact that it's in Marbella. Okay, what makes Marbella different is that nobody who lives here is actually from Marbella. Everybody's from everywhere, which means that everybody's kind of open because everybody knows what it is to get here and maybe not have your social circle. So people are more open to interact. So that kind of helps as well. And then number two, the fact that maybe you're here in particular helps by you already got something in common, right? You're here and then you see each other like once every week. Oh, okay, so what is it you do? And it feels like a natural question. But if you go to a cafe and ask to somebody, hey, what is it you do? It feels awkward.
Exactly. So, and you mentioned at the start about you before this even started, you were running events and stuff. So are you doing any of that in here now? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Of course. I mean, we were born through events, so that's basically our core. Just as an example, right now even if it's events that we do ourselves or assisting other people to do it. Right now I'm helping Startup Ole, which is a really big startup convention. They did it last year for the first time in Marbella. And the reason I support them is because they were brave enough to do it in Marbella. The vision that we had, right? It's like, okay, entrepreneurship, Marbella, startups, it doesn't mix, but they were brave enough to do it. Why? Because, I mean, there is a different profile in Marbella. Maybe we had I talk quite a lot with the director of the technology park in Malaga, right? That's where you got all the big companies like Oracle, Ericsson, Decra, Vodafone, all of them are there. So I was talking to him and he was like, okay, Christian, the problem is here in Malaga especially, is that you do get a startup community. Problem, there's no money. They don't invest them, so they tend to go to Valencia, to Madrid, to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Marbella, there is quite a lot of investors. So it's about bridging Malaga and Marbella, which is my main obsession nowadays for starters. Then we'll look at the next steps. But yeah, there is a startup community. So going back to the events that we do, considering the community that we've created, now we're dividing them into what I call verticals. Okay. So we got the clean tech vertical, which is more for the ag tech, climate, etc. So we get everybody together and they launch events that are relevant for that particular industry. Okay. And we got the same for blockchain and Web3. And we've got just Monday, we decided we're going to have the one for women in business and longevity. So that means that we're going to do events related to those topics.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And have you got a full diary, or is it still in the pipeline?
We are. I mean, once again, we are still a startup ourselves.
Yeah.
So when you look back at what we did last year, I mean, if you had a list of all of them, it's quite impressive.
Yeah.
But then we need to be better at planning ahead. So that's my mission for this year, to fill the events part so we can actually foresee which ones are coming. And that is just one of the type of events that we do. The other one is we bring a lot of leadership teams from Scandinavia, Germany, UK, etc., and we create a program for them while I'm here.
Okay.
So, for instance, they're here for 3 days, so we help them out with accommodation, restaurants, etc. Maybe they have the more formal and Congress part here, the meetings and the kickoff of the year or whatever. But then afterwards, maybe we arrange a paddle tournament and these kind of things for them. So we do a lot of those events as well. And then obviously we continue with the Marbella Tech Meetups, which is what brought us here recently. So yeah.
Awesome. And just in terms of the process for booking rooms, for going to events and understanding what's happening, is it an app or is it a website? What is the process for people?
When you become a member, you get an app. And there you get notifications for all the events that you have and etc. But then we do have a website as well, the pool.es. If you go into the events part, you will see the events that are coming up. For instance, right now we launched CTOs Get Together. Why? Because CTOs tend to be a very lonely job, right? It's really technical, etc., etc. So I was talking to one of them the other day and it's like, he lives in Fuengirola and it's like, it's really lonely and I wish there was more community. I was like, okay. Let's do this. Yeah. So I created a CTO group, so people who can click on it, and then they will be able to subscribe to it. And then we're going to have, like, every month, there's going to be a CTO get-together.
Okay.
What that turns into, I don't know, but we launch it anyway. So that's the kind of thing that we do. Yeah.
I mean, I used to come from a tech background.
Okay.
And for a big IT company in the UK,
okay.
telecoms company. And
okay.
I remember the CTOs there, and I think they might be getting younger now, but it was a lot of the older guys.
Exactly.
The CTOs, and I'm just imagining that get together.
But I think
I would imagine they might be a bit more charismatic now, but then maybe not as much.
I think it's changed a lot.
I think so too. I think so.
And I think everybody needs that little bit of, especially CTOs, if they can work remotely, it becomes like a really lonely job, and there is a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
So the good thing is we found Jalil, who's the one who's going to be running this CTO group. He's really open, he's a great guy, and he's really good at bringing people together. So once again, it's really interesting to find that kind of personality who actually maybe can put them together and make them feel comfortable, and they can share, and they can, whatever happens there, that's in their own thing. Yeah.
So I think the audience know about the pool now.
Yeah.
The location of it is the Corte Inglés.
Yeah.
But why did you choose here? Why did you choose the Corte Inglés? It's a bit, for me, right, when I heard about it first, I thought it's a bit random.
Yeah.
But actually, when you come here, you've got the parking, you've got a massive shopping centre, you can get all your stuff to eat and everything else. You're close to everywhere, so it feels, but I don't know what your thoughts were and why you chose here.
Several aspects to consider there. One of them, is especially because there are two Corte Inglés in Marbella, right? There's one that's here in the center, which is where we are sitting right now, and the other one's in Puerto Banús. For me, it was really important that I did not want to be in Puerto Banús.
Yes.
I mean, I think Marbella, as I said, I mean, it used to have this kind of profile before, which still exists, but when I look at it, that's more Puerto Banús.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I'm not anti that, but it's just I believe that there's a new Marbella coming that needs to have their own platform, which is what we aspire to be, right? So when you look at this Corte Inglés, well, you've got 2,200 square meters on one floor, which is, I don't know. I've been working in this industry for a while, and to find that even in Madrid or Malaga, any place, it's like really hard. And you got that in Marbella, so that's check. Number two is the fact that we're in Marbella, not in Puerto Banús. Check. And then obviously the building itself.
It's a beautiful building.
I mean, this glass dome that we've got, the light. And once again, let's not forget, a lot of our members actually do have an office at home.
Yeah.
So they need to have a good reason to come here to work. So if they come here in its environment that the building is like, a regular building, they're not going to feel so inspired. But if you come here, you see this openness, and I think that kind of transmit the values that we want to, push forward. So it helps.
And was there a lot of work you had to do to get it to this point? I don't think you'd have just walked in and seen this and thought, brilliant, let's move in. I would imagine quite a lot of refurbishment.
Once again, we managed to get this agreement with the Corte Inglés where they took care of the refurbishment, etc.
Oh, good.
And I got to say, Corte Inglés, once they start, they're amazing. I mean, the muscle they have, the power, the efficiency, and if you look at it strategically, to have a partner like Corte Inglés, or at least a collaborator, it's amazing. I mean, then if future locations or whatever, it opens a different kind of option. And at the same time, you've already got something that brings traffic to the building where you are.
Of course.
So it's just a win-win, right?
I mean, it's a really centre area. It's very busy traffic around it and everything else. So you're in a fantastic location.
You got the Congress Centre on the other side of the road.
Which
Which is, because as our events get bigger, sometimes we feel, but we don't really have the space for that. But hey, you've got something on the other side of the street.
Exactly.
So it helps.
You spill over. So we understand the pool. We know why you came here. But just talking about more entrepreneurship and the business owners of it, because you'll have some good, valuable insights that maybe not a lot of people have, because you're ultimately seeing all the different businesses and entrepreneurs coming in. But can you tell me maybe since you've started, sort of what you've noticed, maybe some of the trends that you've seen, especially for maybe for 2024 or now in 2025. So,
I mean, I would maybe bring it a little bit further back, which is when we started here. I think I've never had more interesting conversations with more interesting people that I've had since I started here. I mean, it's amazing. We always got these. That's where the name The Pool comes from, right? We saw this talent that was moving to this area. It's like it's a pool of talent.
Yes.
It's like, and then once you get this talent together, this community, let's see what we can do together. So that's where everything comes from. When it comes to trends, I mean, you've got all these different backgrounds here. So there is such a potential. And just as an example, dear friend of mine, Bob Van Binden, he is the ex-head of operations of Stripe.
Okay.
The payment platform. So he moved to Marbella with his wife, who is very well established in Google. So, very power couple, etc. And it's just inspiring to see these kind of people coming here. So when you look at trends and all that, he actually mentioned, it's funny because he sat down and he was talking to me, basically the pitch that I always talk about. It's the fact that we can see, obviously very early stages, but similarities between Silicon Valley and Costa del Sol. So you got Malaga, which is where all the startups are, where you got the big companies, the corporates, etc. And maybe you got, and that would be San Francisco, in California. And then you've got Palo Alto, for instance, which is maybe where you got the investors, where they live, where the executives, etc. So we got that link. So when it comes to trends, I mean, it's nice to see that so many different industries operate from here. Because I mean, maybe you don't really see, especially in Marbella, you don't see that the operational team is here. Maybe they've got them in Poland or in Switzerland or in Sweden or wherever. But you've got the CEO or the executive here, which is nice because then when you put them together, there's so much valuable information right there. It makes a lot of sense. And then, for instance, when the verticals that I mentioned before, like the one in blockchain is booming. There's so much focus on that, not just crypto, but the blockchain technology in general. It's so exciting to see. And then what I see, and I don't know if that's more because of the Marbella part, but you do see people putting a lot into values. So it's not just finding a business that actually makes money, but it's about having positive impact, which I see. You always hear these words like impact and sustainability, and you think it's a little bit, okay, it's nice words that people throw around, but then when you talk to the people in these kind of positions, you realize it's true. I mean, that they do it to give back because they've succeeded, they may have an exit or an IPO or something, and then all of a sudden they want to give back. So that reality is there. And I find that really, really inspiring.
It's interesting you say that because obviously I'm in real estate, right?
Yeah.
So I've noticed, not all the time, right, but I have noticed an increase in requests for sustainable housing. And they want to know what the materials are of the building. They want to know loads and loads of stuff. They want maybe community gardens. And it's all this sort of nature thing we're starting to see. So I'm going to be talking one of the podcasts soon about sustainable housing and what they're doing differently. And they are talking about community gardening, planting your own food and everything else. And there's a bit of a demand growing. So obviously businesses and owners and entrepreneurs, they need to adapt to that. Because if there's a demand, there's got to be a supply, right? And we've got to meet that.
And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, like for instance, I don't know if you know, but the Proyecto Zeta from Urbania, who are in Higueron, they're creating Proyecto Zeta, which is all about sustainability and communities. So they've got like this area that they're developing, and they're doing a lot of impact concepts and sustainability, communal gardens and planting, etc. But it's funny because, I mean, when you talk to these developers, the traditional ones, right, that have been here forever, I wonder 10 or 15 years ago, how many people would have been asking, okay, where does this material come from? And I wonder how many people would actually be able to answer that question. They'd be like, well, I don't know, read the pack. But it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I really like it, and I think that's what's going to make a difference in the future for sure.
One of the things I've noticed here personally, right, in Marbella, and it's different. I'm from Scotland, from the UK, and in real estate, it's a very competitive. You don't really get a lot of collaboration. People are scared to share their things with other people because they might worry they're going to steal their business. For example, if a customer comes to me looking for a property, but I don't have it, here I can speak to another estate agency. And we can do a collaboration. And we're very open to that here because we want to serve the customers. And obviously, if we both we need half our commission, that's fine, right? As long as we're meeting that client's needs. But in the UK, it still is completely different. We don't do sharing. We don't like to share. And it's very cutthroat. But that's from a real estate perspective. But from your perspective in Marbella, in terms of, you've got all this insight into the different industries. Are you seeing it as more collaborative, competitive, or maybe something else?
There I'm going to give you more of a cultural answer to that rather than the way I've seen it. I mean, this comes from my personal background, right? I've studied in Spanish schools. So basically back then, word entrepreneurship, I hadn't heard it until basically when I came here. But then, what I've noticed, so I came with that mindset. And it wasn't until when I sat down with the founders of the pool, right? And all of a sudden I realized that, okay, they had this idea, they thought this could work. And my mentality back then would have been, oh, this is something that I need to protect, right? I mean, it's like, I think this can work, so let's not share it with anybody, right? And then all of a sudden you see the way that they just start calling people, they bring them to the table. It's like, hey, we got this idea, what do you think? And then I was like blown away with that. And that has been I would say, the ethos of what we've done here from there. I mean, just, we were talking about the verticals before, right?
Yes.
Imagine putting everybody who is in the same industry together to create something when originally people could think, oh, but he does the same thing I do. So it could be a competition. But then when you sit them down, it's like everybody has got their niche, everybody's got their angle that makes them different. But then it's about, okay, what can we do together? Yeah. So I love that. And that is something that I see is happening more and more. Obviously, I understand that the real estate industry here, I mean, I think people need to collaborate. I mean, it's a really big market here, and I think that you expect to run everything exclusively yourself and your company. I mean, I don't know to what extent it's going to work. So I think, especially in the real estate, it comes from there, right? So it's just a need. Yeah. But here, I think, and especially because of what I was saying before, is like we got like 39 nationalities just here in the pool, and imagine Marbella in general. I mean, people come with another openness. Yeah. So, so it's about creating new things, and then if you want to create things, well, you need to open up, you need to share, you need to collaborate. Yeah. But that being said, obviously there are some traditional barriers that we need to break down. Okay. For instance, here in the Costa del Sol, when I was talking about the similarities with Silicon Valley, etc., Malaga and Marbella, they're like two different planets. For instance, when I want to do events in Malaga, we stumble on to something so basic that sometimes I feel that the language can be a problem. Obviously, people that come here, foreigners that live in Marbella, a lot of them don't speak Spanish. Yeah. And when you go to Malaga, a lot of them don't speak English. Yes. So that can be a struggle. It's getting a lot better. I mean, I gotta say, I mean, it's changed a lot. But that's one of the barriers. The other one is that it's complete different scenarios, right? You got the big companies, the corporates, and the startups. All that's Malaga. Yeah. And here you got the more established and maybe already successful entrepreneurs, etc. So that is a barrier that I want to break down, because if you put those two together, I mean, it's just amazing what we can do. So that is one of my personal obsessions, which we've started quite slowly on, but that's when, you know, we started doing more events and we collaborate with events in Malaga, etc. So that's going to be happening a lot more. And another thing is that we're kind of spoiled with the distances here. If you compare to, I mean, if you worked in London and you say, oh, but my commute is 30 minutes, people's like, hey, that's nothing. Yeah, yeah. But if you're going to expect somebody from Malaga to come to Marbella and say that's 35, 40 minutes to get here, it's like, oof, you know, that's...
I've noticed that.
Oof, but that's really far. And then you sit down and think, it's like, you sit down in a traffic line for 1 hour just to get out of London, and that's not a problem. And so I don't know.
I've noticed that myself, you know, because obviously we spoke earlier, and I said I cover real estate wise, I cover one end of the Costa del Sol to the other. Okay. You know, but for me, I'm willing to drive 2 hours. I don't really care, because I have, my clients are international. They fly for 4 hours to come here. Exactly. So if they're willing to do that, I'm willing to drive for 2 hours. Exactly. You know, but for me, that's a different mindset. But you're right. I have noticed that, especially with some of the people who've been here for a long time. Yeah. Oh, I'm not driving that far. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, that's a 25 minutes drive. I was like, I don't know, but I think that's another one of these barriers that we need to break down. I mean, and once again, that barrier is, I'm sorry to go back to it, but it's one of my obsessions. I mean, the fact that we've got one of the, I think it's 4 or 5 global cybersecurity centers of Google globally. One of them is actually in Malaga. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that. I mean, I think it's something that people should know, that Malaga is, there is a really big, especially tech focus in Malaga. You know, you got companies like, as I said, Decra, Vodafone, Google, you know, a lot of them coming here. Why? Because obviously it's sometimes easier to say, hey, you're going to be able to work for me. I don't know, you're a Citigroup or EY, who's got like thousands of employees in Malaga. You're going to come here and you're going to be living in Malaga. Yeah. Or you're going to be living, I don't know, in Reykjavik in Iceland. It's like, no, it's maybe an easier sell.
It's easier.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Malaga's what I like about Malaga is that you've got the city. It's a bit like Barcelona, but you've got the city, but you've got the beach as well. You know, you've got the weather. And just to have that ability to work hard and then go to the beach and just chill out at the weekends is...
I mean, I was living in London for, I think it was 2 years. And when I came here on a holiday once, I mean, just the fact of taking your car and you can go to the white village of Mijas. And you spend a while there, it's like, wow, this is really cool. And then you, 10 minutes, you're in Malaga. And then if you want to go skiing, you got that in Granada, quite close.
Ronda is beautiful as well.
Ronda, I'm a big fan of Ronda.
Lovely.
Ronda is a must-see for people coming here. But I just think there's so much to it. And you were mentioning Barcelona, for instance. I think Valencia and Malaga are the upcoming cities now in Spain. Madrid is always going to be Madrid. It's the engine, it's the one that drives the Spanish economy. Barcelona, due to several situations, is maybe losing a little bit of that power, and the ones that are benefiting from that is Valencia and Malaga. Which I'm not complaining about. Hey? No, I'm happy with that. So, I see really interesting future for Malaga. We got the infrastructure here. You can be in, the airport is amazing. You've got the train station that will take you to Madrid in 2 hours, 50 minutes. Yep. I just think the future of Malaga is amazing.
Yeah, I think so. And another thing as well about, I'm just thinking about when you're talking about, you've got Malaga, you've got the tech hubs, we've got the entrepreneurs here. Yep. But it's more about I'm thinking about the education. I think the education system here for the young education is good, but I feel like getting to the point, it just feels like a lot of them do their school, then they go somewhere else, then they get successful, then they come here, and I don't know if they're getting a lot of the right schooling at that older age here, and I'm just wondering, I don't know what you're seeing about that, but it was a thought that I've just noticed that you get a lot of people, they disappear, then they come back again when they're successful or when they've got a business.
If you think of it, it's not a bad thing that they leave and come back with a baggage of experience, etc. However, I could not agree more. It's one of the things we've created. One thing that we did create was the pool of talents.
Yes.
Which we started with 2 private schools. So we got the kids. We got Yuval, who is the one running it right now. And basically what he's doing, he's talking to the schools, bringing all this young talent together. So that's a concept that we promoted. So we've had events here for the kids, and our objective is to get them to interact with companies, basically, to get internships, etc., etc. So we're doing that, and it's something that we're quite focused on. Because education, tech, entrepreneurship, it's all in one. That's why you got Stanford in the middle of Silicon Valley, and you've got. But one thing that is definitely missing here, I think, is maybe the next level education.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that maybe you've gone to amazing schools here. You got many international schools which are rated amongst the best in Europe. Yeah. So that's great. But once you're after high school, what do I do? So you're almost forced to leave. Yeah. Which is sad. I think it's good. It's good to have experience abroad, etc. But you should be able to have an option here. As a parent, wouldn't it be cool to actually be able to have an option where your kids could stay there for a little bit longer? Or the other aspect of it, you've got the possibility of people coming here who have never been here before to actually study. It's a complete different market now.
Yeah.
So, and you're bringing the talent in the right age as well, which would benefit the entrepreneur industry here as well. So, I just see that as a win-win. So that is something that if you were to dream big, right? Our end goal will be to bring one of these, call it London School of Economics, Stanford or Harvard or whatever, bring something like that here. That will be like...
And that'll bridge that gap.
Exactly. Imagine the impact that would have in the region itself. So you got the best international schools, all of a sudden you've got a really good international university. Imagine what that means for the rest of the Costa del Sol as well. Yeah. So you've got that option there without having to leave. Maybe that will help, and that will impact housing, that will impact everything.
Yeah, definitely everything. Any advice that you would maybe offer people thinking about coming over? They're not looking to retire, they're looking to still have their business, or they're entrepreneurs. What sort of advice would you give them if they're looking to come to Marbella or the Costa del Sol?
I interview a lot of members, right? Yes. And we talk to them. And then some of them are unicorn founders, people have IPOs, exits and all that. So they come with a lot of experience. And then you talk to them as like, okay, what do you think is a key to success? Because let's not forget, if you're going to be a founder or co-founder of a company, it's stressful, it's lonely, etc., etc. Everybody, the common denominator in all of them, they say it's like, you need to find your tribe.
Yeah.
And that is something. So if you come here, you need to be open, and you
Yes.
need to find the area where you find people who are, well, like-minded like you.
Yeah.
That can be, it could be Malaga, it could be Marbella, it could be anywhere. But it's about finding that place where you can actually, feel that you'll be inspired by the conversations that we were mentioning earlier. So I would say that especially if you come, for instance, the pool could be like one element in that, right? If you feel that you're a successful entrepreneur, but if you, hey, I'm going to go to Spain, I don't know anybody, hey, there's people that actually can fit your profile, and I'm sure that you can mutually benefit from that. So it's about finding your tribe would be the most thing to think about. Then once again, schools, probably, you probably know that more than I do, but the schools for the kids we got that covered. I mean, it's amazing international schools here. But I think it's about finding what you want to do and be a little bit open when you get here. Exactly, because sometimes if you expect things to work exactly as it does in Germany or exactly the same way it works in the UK, like no, you're moving to Spain. However, it's important for you to find, and even these small challenges that may come with bureaucracy, etc., etc., maybe you'll be able to, to overcome them if you find your tribe, because there's going to be a lot of advice, people to help you, people who've already been there and gone through that.
Yeah.
So it's about opening up and knowing more people.
Excellent advice. Find your tribe, be open, and know what it is you want to do. So thank you again for coming. Really appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.